So anyway. Next is Darren. He says, what are some points to maintain good retention with rank and rent? In the past, dealing with local businesses for SEO in my agency, I found many wanted to stop after 3 or 4 months as they had results. It didn't need to pay me anymore. Well, if it's rank and rent, how do they have good results and don't need to pay you anymore? I'm asking, Darren. I'm not being a jerk. I'm asking. Because if it's rank and rent, it's your assets that are ranking and producing the leads. So how did they get results and don't need to pay you anymore if they're renting your assets? I'm just curious. Are you also doing retainer work for them? And then you get better results, and then they for their brand, and so they decide they don't need to continue renting your assets. And if that's the case, then you can go to their competitor and monetize it with their competitor and do the same process all over again. Like, seriously. So I'm not sure I understand the question, because if it's rank and rent, that means they're your assets. So how is that giving them better results that they don't need to pay you anymore? The results come from your assets, right? Unless I'm just misunderstanding the question. So I'm just curious about that. I'm not sure if this will be also the case with rank and rent, and if possible, avoid wanting to have to constantly find new potential lead buyers and be left with unmonetized traffic in the meantime, if possible. Yeah, and that's, that is an issue. That is a problem that occurs with lead gen and rank and rent. That's why it's important to try to get make it sticky, right? Find some sticky component that you can add, which is what I do with my tree contractors. I've talked about this a lot, but in order for me to do a lead gen or rank and rent model with my tree contractors, I force them to at least subscribe to my high level app, which I called it, lead management app or tree marketing tech, Tree Care HQ app. I've called it a number of things, but it's all the same damn thing. It's a sub account in high level that I use to help them manage their leads, but also because it sends out review requests and things like that. And remember, if it's my own assets, my own lead gen assets, if I have Google business profiles, I want to generate reviews to my Google business profiles. So I force them to use my high level app for $100 a month. And that's all I do is charge them $100 a month for it. And I know a lot of people are like, man, you should charge more. Look, for me, it's not about the revenue from the high level account. For me, it's about keeping them stuck to me, right? Whether, because they get to using the app, and a lot of them end up, once they get comfortable with it, and some of them just don't want to use it, but the ones that do, they end up becoming reliant on it, right? It becomes part of their business, their standard operating procedures for how they manage their leads and things like that. So it's a sticky component. It makes them more sticky. And even if they want to cancel services, it's a separate subscription that I set up for them for the lead management app, so that they're still paying me. They can cancel the SEO or the rank and rent or whatever it is that they want. But if they're using my app and they've gotten used to using it for managing leads and keeping track of everything, which it's beneficial for them to do so, then they still continue paying me for that. And in some cases, they'll come back. In some cases, like because a lot of the times the tree contractors for me will say in the winter that they want to suspend services or pause subscription until the springtime. And when I don't have some sort of a sticky component, most of them don't come back because, it depends. If it was a rank and rent or something like that, then they generally come back. But if I've done any work on their brand and ranked and helped their brand to rank, then a lot of times they don't come back unless they're constantly reminded that I helped them, right, by using my app, and then they come back. Or sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. So hopefully that makes sense. One thing is to find a sticky component that you can add in, something that you can charge them separately for. Again, I love doing that, the high level app, because you can sell it as a lead management app, as a review generation tool or reputation building tool, all kind database reactivation or list reactivation, whatever you want to call it. There's a number of different things that you can do with it. So there's a lot of, in my industry, in the tree service industry, there's a lot of guys that still work on, like, their scheduling system is literally a notebook, right? Like a day planner or weekly planner or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of guys are like that in the tree service industry. They just don't use technology. And so if I can get them to accept the lead management app and use that as a, like I said, the sticky component, and get them using that, they, a lot of the times, will increase revenue literally without generating any additional leads, they'll start generating more revenue from the existing leads that they, whatever the lead volume or lead flow is that they currently get, because there's an automated follow-up system built into the app, which a lot of guys in my industry, the tree service industry, like I said, they don't have systems at all. Or if they do, it's a very manual systems. And so their follow-up sucks, right? And so again, they might get a lead, but if they don't follow up with that lead properly, they end up losing the sale. Or even if they scheduled the estimate and they go out and they, do the estimate and then present the proposal for the job, they don't follow up with the client enough or consistently enough to close that proposal, right? To get the client to accept, they don't close the sale. They might send the proposal. I'm not saying this about all of them, but a lot of them do this. They have really poor follow-up, but the lead management app automates that, right? It makes it automatic. They don't have to worry about it. So again, I pitch that when I'm telling them about my lead management app. I tell them, like, look, even with the amount of whatever your current lead flow is, you're going to, once you start to use this app, and use it consistently, you'll see that your revenue will increase because you'll close more sales from the same number of leads that you currently get. Without us generating any more leads, you will likely close more business, more jobs because of the app, because of the automated follow-up system and everything else. And it builds a list so that you can do list reactivation. You can do email marketing for tree service contractors. About once per quarter is a good time to send out an email to the list, talking about what type of tree care services should be done at the change of each season. If that makes sense. So these are all things that I pitch to the tree contractor when I'm talking to them about whether it's rank and rent or pay per lead or revenue share, or even just straight up retainer based, traditional agency services. In any one of those cases, I pitch the importance of having that, using the app and learning, using it consistently because of all the reasons that I just stated, right? Building a list reactivation, review solicitation, appointments, appointment reminders, all of that stuff. That's clear. So that's the way that I do it. And sometimes you're still going to have to remonetize. And that's why, in the coming months, when I finish this program that I've been developing for months, I've got a lot of solutions for that. And by the way, these are all solutions that I've developed because of my own agency in dealing with many of the points that Darren just mentioned, right? Which was, retention and turnover and having lead gen assets that sometimes you got to remonetize 3 or 4 times in a year. That sucks. That's no fun. So out of necessity for preventing that in my own business, I've been working for a long time now on developing a way to kind of prevent that, or to at least reduce it. And we're getting close. We're getting close to being able to launch that, guys. Hopefully it'll be available by the end of September, or we're going to launch it, I hope, in October. So we'll see.